Hey everybody, this is Tyear McCrary, and I'm starting something new tonight. Many of you all are familiar with who I am, but I'm starting something new tonight called Talking with Tyear. We're doing it on Tuesday, so now we've kind of renamed it Tuesdays with Tyear, actually, to kind of get us kind of acquainted and get synced into one specific day and one specific time. And so I want to thank everybody who is joining me. I'm going to give a little time for people to come on, and then we're going to get right to our topic tonight. And I'm so excited about this. And to those of you all who are watching this after we have started, thank you so much for taking the time to view it. I promise you it's going to be really, really good. Hey, Chef Maurice, how are you? Hope you're doing well, sir. We're going to get started in just a couple seconds. Hope business has been good for you. Hey, Delise, how are you? Hope everything is going well with you, young lady. We are going to get started. We're going to get started. Everybody who's joined in, if you don't mind, just commenting below and let me know you're here. Give me your name, your first name, and the city you're watching us from. Just give me your name, city you're watching us from. I like to know who you are. And here's the other thing. Anybody that's watching, I want you to do me a favor. Show me some love. If you agree with what I'm saying, let me know. Give me those thumbs up. Give me those hearts. Give me all of those things. And I would love to see it. It encourages me and let me know that I am on the right track with you, okay? And so tonight we're going to get started again. To all of you all who are watching, this is Tuesdays with Tyear, and I am Bishop Tyear McCrary. But for the sake of this particular broadcast, I am just going to be your girl next door, your cousin down the street, your auntie, your friend down the way. I'm going to be her today, and I'm going to give you some very, very practical solutions. You know, I want to make sure that I'm here to motivate you and inspire you and empower you with real solutions, with present, relevant topics. You know, a lot of times people talk about a lot of things, and because of my position, a lot of people think I'm just going to talk about church stuff. I am not. I'm going to talk about the things that actually matter to your life. You can always go to church and get a sermon, but right now, this is our time together so that we can sit and we can chat. And I want to talk about the things that really, really matter to you. So I want to make sure that you know that it's quite all right for you to comment below. It's quite all right for you to show me the love, and it's quite all right that if you got some questions, just go on into my inbox, even if it goes into my spam. I promise you that I am going to watch it, and I promise you I am going to respond to you with all of your problems, your questions, and everything like that. And so I want to get into tonight's topic, if that's okay with you. I hope that it is, because I've been looking forward to it. I know I've been thinking about it a lot. And if you don't mind, if you want to take some notes, that's great. And again, if you got comments, even if you disagree, that's fine too. Just go on and watch it. And I want to encourage all of you all to understand, again, this is not a church broadcast. This is a relevant topic broadcast that I'm doing for you tonight with Tuesdays with Tyear. I wanted to talk to you tonight about shattering your own glass ceiling. Think about it. How many people do you know that have a passive mindset, and they want to think and believe and hope and dream that something happens out of the ordinary for their lives with no input of their own? And you're wondering, what is it that I am, or what is it that, or why is it, I should say, are things not quite going the way I want them to go? I know for me, I had to have a more metamorphosis moment. Ooh, that's a mouthful. A metamorphosis moment where I had to decide, you know what, the place that I currently am is no longer good enough. I have outworn my welcome. I have stayed here long enough. And so one of the things that I have learned, and I have noticed, and this is something that I have coined even myself, that I have never met any passive, successful people. And that can be passivity about anything. Now, I like to believe that I am an alpha female for the most part. I am a visionary. I'm a church planter. I'm a businesswoman. I'm a wife. I'm a mother. But I happen to be the kind of person that will go out and get it. But there became a time in my life where I said, you know what? I am just in a slump. And I'm sure you all understand what that is, to be in a slump where you just cannot think. Your thoughts are not coming clearly. You don't feel like sometimes getting out of bed. You don't really want to talk to people. And sometimes some of you all deal with depression. It's all kinds of things that are going on, and you're trying to figure out, how do I get out of that? And even more important, how did I get into this place? Well, I'm going to talk to you a little bit more about that maybe on our next time together, which will be next Tuesday. But tonight, I want to talk to you about shattering your own glass ceiling. You know, I've been looking at the news, and fortunately, I am old enough to say that I have seen seen a lot of firsts in my day, but none like I have in the last 8 years. In the last 8 years, let me tell you, I have seen some amazing things happen in our country and in our world, both good and some actually bad. But I want to focus on only the good tonight. One of the things that I've noticed, even as we elected our first African American president, our real first African American president. I know a lot of people, if you came from when I grew up the time I grew up with, we always said that Bill Clinton was our first black president, but he wasn't. We had our first black president, not only elected one time, but elected 2 times. And I was so excited about that. And then just last week, we were able to witness Hillary Rodham Clinton become the first person that would represent the Democratic Party in the presidential runoff for 2017 presidential term. And I cannot tell you how excited I was, not because I'm voting for her or not voting for her. So I'm not going to tell you who you should vote for. I'm not going to use this platform for that. But I will tell you this. I got an opportunity to sit, as millions of people around the world got an opportunity to sit and see her break the glass ceiling. We saw Barack Obama break the glass ceiling. We saw Black Lives Matter rise up like we would see in the 60s and take their stand and kind of irritate some people. And that's what it's going to take, actually. It's going to take you getting out of your norm and even going against the grain and probably pissing a few people off to shatter your own ceiling. And so let's just get right down to it. One of the things, and I'm going to give you several keys, and I hope you take the time to write them down. If not, you can always replay this back. But I want to make sure that we do this together, okay? So the first thing I really want to bring to your attention, in order to break your glass ceiling, you're going to have to really identify your own self-imposed ceilings. Who and what has put you in a position where you feel as though you got to put yourself in a box? One of the things that I learned not too long ago in ministry, there was someone that I really, really respect, and she shared this story. And she said when she was a little girl, she went to kindergarten, and her teacher gave her crayons, and she gave her a box. She gave her a coloring book, and she says, "I want you all. One of the first skills we want you to learn," they wanted her to learn, was dexterity with holding a crayon, and the second thing was to follow instructions, and that was to color inside of the lines. How many of us in kindergarten or in preschool have been told we got to color inside the lines? Thank all of you all for joining me. Thank you for joining me, and I hope you stay with us. How many of us have been told to color inside the lines? And when I'm telling you, coloring inside the lines can be nice for some people, but I've never seen anybody be really successful painting inside of the lines. And one of the things she asked her mother, she said, "Mom, isn't this my coloring book?" Her mother said, "Yes." She says, "Mom, aren't these my crayons?" And she said, "Absolutely, these are your crayons." She said, "Then why do I got to color in the lines if it's my book, if it's my crayons?" Well, I say the same thing to you. If this is your life, and it is, and you only get one, I'm going to suggest that you consider not coloring in the lines all of the time. Now, I'm not telling you to be, just out here willy-nilly doing anything, not following any rules. I'm not honoring rebellion, and neither does God. But I want to tell you this. God expects you to be so much more than you currently are. He knows what he put on the inside of you. And so you've got to look at yourself and you say, what is it that I am doing or I have allowed to happen to myself, be it the opinions of others, my own opinion, or the lackadaisical attitude that perhaps I've gotten myself in a slump and I find myself in? What are those things that have gotten me in this place that I am? I'm putting my own self-imposed ceiling. One of the things that I love about my parents, they didn't have a college degree, but they became very, very successful in business. My mother made it to the 8th grade. My father made it into the 6th grade, but he was the one that would buy up blocks of property at a time. He taught me about generational wealth. He taught me about savings. He taught me about certificates and bonds and all kinds of different things as it relates to building wealth, real estate, foreign dollars. He taught me about building business. He taught me that, and so did my mother. And they didn't just talk about it, they did it. And so they positioned me educationally where I can go, and the sky was not the limit. I could go as far as I wanted to, but something happened. I began to get around limited thinkers who wanted to paint in the box, and I began to start to behave in the same pattern that they had been exposed to, and I had started limiting myself as to what it is that I could do. And before I could really realize it, I saw other people enjoying that were really willing to kind of jump out of the box. I saw them enjoying the life that I wanted. And yes, I had all of the trappings. I had all of the things. Thank you for the love so much. I had all of those things. And some of you, it may be simple as a business. So, you've been putting in your heart, you wanted to come out of your kitchen, or you just wanted to come out of that small cubicle or out of your home office, and you wanted to branch out to multiple offices, or you wanted to open up a franchise or have multiple boutiques. You got to get away from people who say you cannot do it. And so sometimes the self-imposed ceiling is based on the opinions of others, and we believe and we trust their opinion. And there's nothing wrong with that. But sweetheart, if it comes against you being all that God wants you to be, I'm going to ask you to do me a favor. Bloop, put them on mute. Just for a minute. Just for a minute. And it doesn't mean that you shun wisdom, but it means that you want to listen to the direction and the wisdom that God is going to give you. And then the second thing is, I want you to start settling yourself and get into a position when you hear the words, I can't, or it can't be done. You tell yourself absolutely not. Unless God tell me it can't be done, I'm going to absolutely do it. I'm going to do it with everything I can. I mean, I cannot tell you how many thousands, and over my last 24 years in ministry, how many thousands of people I have counseled that kept saying, Bishop, I can't do this, or Pastor, I can't do this, or Coach, I can't do this, and whatever it is they call me. Some people call me mentor, some people call me mama, a lot of people call me a lot of things. But they're all good. But I will say this, and they've called and they've told me, or they sat down in my office and they've said, listen, I can't do this. I can't seem to get ahead. I can't break the norm. I can't go back to college. You don't understand. I got this issue and I got that issue. Everybody's got an issue, but there is no temptation, test, or trial such as common to man that God is not giving you a way of escape. You can escape the humdrum and the mundane life that you do not want to live. It has to be purposeful, intentional effort. And so you've got to decide, I'm going to quiet the voices of I can't, which means that you're going to have to catch yourself. When I was in school, especially in high school, I went to a Catholic school. And as a Catholic school girl, we had some of the nastiest mouths that you can imagine kids have. Well, they're probably about as nasty as they are right now with the kids in school now. But we had something in each room. It was called a swear jar. Some of you all might be familiar, at least with the concept of a swear jar. And the swear jar, every time you swore, you said something that was not cool, the teacher, the nun, made you put some money. And sometimes it was all of your lunch money in there, to the point we started giving away IOUs on pieces of paper. It was terrible. But we had to pay it before the end of the semester. But nevertheless, we had things that we knew we should not say, but we felt like because it become habitual, it was easy to say, and it was easy to throw out that excuse so that we can throw in the towel or quit or not try as hard to refine our conversation. It will cost us. And guess what? Every time you tell yourself I can't, it's costing you. It's costing you an opportunity to be bigger and better than you've ever been. It's costing you an opportunity to be set in front of the right people. Let me tell you something. And some of you all who are watching may not be Christians, and that's okay. I'm a Christian. And so I'm going to talk from the standpoint of this. It's so imperative, and I think they teach this in just about every religion, that you got to be mindful of what you say. What goes around comes around. What you sow, that's what you're going to reap. If you're always sowing negativity, you're going to reap negativity. God already knows that he put something great on the inside of you, but if you don't trust what he's put on the inside of you, you will convince yourself by telling yourself over and over and over, I can't. There's something that my former pastor used to say. He said, repetitious information makes the most potent impact on what you believe. Let me say that again, and let me say it slowly. For those of you all taking notes, repetitious information makes the most potent impact on what you believe. The more we rehearse, the more we talk, the more we say, it's going to cause us to believe what we say. It's just like a liar. Most liars believe their own lies, and that's why in their head, they ain't lying. They telling the truth. And unless you know the truth, they don't even know. So they're going to assume that you're going to believe what they say. So you got to learn how to quiet the voices of I can't. Number 3, you got to see yourself as greater than your current position. Can you see yourself on the canvas of your imagination owning that house? Can you see yourself coming out of debt and writing that last check for that last debt? Can you see yourself coming out of that bad relationship that you know is toxic, but your heart is so attached and you're hoping and praying that they leave, but you know based on their fruit that they have no intentions of changing? And can you imagine yourself maybe buying that new house? Or can you imagine yourself putting yourself back in school school, if you've been out of school for a long time. Hey, Pastor Tanya. Hey, Bishop Thornton. How are you? How you all? Thank y'all for tuning in. Can you imagine yourself doing all that stuff? Can you imagine going back and getting the dreams that you once had? Because one thing I believe, if you deny yourself of the dreams that God has placed on the side of, inside of your heart and you don't live them out, they become nightmares to you. And I don't want to see that happen. And that's not a reason why God put that in there. Can I just tell you this one little scripture? And again, I know we have viewers that are not Christians, and that's fine. But it's still a good principle. One of the things that I have learned, maybe I shouldn't use the scripture. Well, one of the things that I have learned is that if you continue to allow any voice to speak something opposite of what you should be speaking, then what's going to end up happening is you will get the fruit of what you have been speaking. You know, Psalms 1:1 talks about be careful of who we talk to. Don't sit in the counsel of the ungodly. Don't sit in the, don't sit in a place where people can speak into your spirit and speak negatively. You know, if you've ever come from a family that's a little bit dysfunctional, and I don't know any family that's not a little bit dysfunctional, and there's always those ones that say, oh, you can't do that. Our family ain't never did that. I was told everybody in your family gets divorced. I'm sorry. I'm not that. I'm going to have a long marriage. I'm going to have a fruitful relationship. And let me tell you something. I'm going to work at it. I'm going to work at it diligently. And so I understand the next thing I got to do. I got to intentionally position and intentionally place myself in a place where I'm around limitless thinkers. That's so important. Position yourself intentionally around limitless thinkers. I'm trying to tell you, because I surround myself with people who tell me, Tyear, you can do this. Tyear, there's nothing that you can't do that God has put in your heart to do. Tyear, you can be creative. You know, somebody called me, one of my friends called me, they said the other day, they said, you can sing, you can dress, you can do hair, you can do makeup, you can act, you can own a business, you know how to invest. Is there anything you don't know how to do? And I said, I don't know how to zip line. So I decided this weekend to go zip lining so I can mark that off my list. I mean, you got bucket lists of things that you've been saying you're going to do and you haven't done it. So that means that you need to position yourself around people who are limitless thinkers, people who don't have that box mentality, people who will not say, you know what, I don't think I can do this, or you know what, I'm a little scared. And you know what? Some of the biggest successes have been done scared. Yeah. So you don't have to have it all together. Things don't have to be perfect. All you got to do is just try. And even if it doesn't work, figure out a way. You can do it. And God will give you the wisdom that you need. So you got to get around limitless thinkers. And let's look at number 5. You got to speak your new identity without limits, and don't allow your desires to just remain in the dream state. Again, some of you all have dreams that have been in the back. Some of you all have dream boards. You've got vision boards. Some of you got notebooks and things that you were inspired to write. You've neglected them. Some of them, you have books and you say, I'm going to write a book. I'm going to write a book. Yes, Pastor Sam. Yes, limitless thinkers think outside of the imaginary box. Thank you for saying that. Oh my God, because it is. The box is imaginary. It is an image that you have created in your mind. You know what I always say to that? Burn the box. Just burn the dang on box. And so I want to make sure that you realize that your dreams, they don't belong in a box that you hide away. They belong in a place of prominence. Every now and then I get my vision board and I look and see, is it relevant to my life right now? Is it something I should be doing right now? Okay. And then the next thing I say is, what are the pitfalls of me doing it right now? Is it something that has a date? That, maybe I will be more successful doing it in 5 years. So I don't just put it off. Wait a minute. I might say I'm going to put it over here, but I am doing everything I can to move closer and closer and closer to that place called there. So that when that time comes, baby, I'm Johnny on the spot. I think about all the times that I have wanted to do television, and I've been given an amazing opportunity to do reality television. And I pray I make you proud. And I can't tell you what it's about, so don't ask me yet, but it will be on We Television, hopefully this fall or early January. But I will say this, I have been trying to position myself. And I said, you know what, I'm just going to work on me. And how did I start working on me? I started looking at the images that are on television. What do the people look like that get the most airtime? And I realized outside of having to or needing to lose weight for health reasons, I realized that if I want to look my absolute best, I needed to lose that 108 pounds that I lost. Now, I'm not saying everybody on television needs to lose weight. That's not what I'm saying. I'm talking about what worked for me. And so I began to work on those things. And can I tell you, when I had finally got to my place where I was good at the size that I was healthy, I was not having the health issues, the strokes, and all those other things that I'll talk to you at another time about. I want to tell you, I got a phone call from somebody I did not know in New York City and said, hey, we want to build a show and we need you to be one of our main cast members. I said, well, can I talk about Jesus? They said, you can talk about anything you want to. Honey, let me tell you, position yourself in a place with limitless thinkers. I was around a friend of mine, and one of them are on here on this feed right now. Actually, it's Pastor Sam Wagner. He was actually on a show. My mentor, my Episcopal mentor, she was on a show called Preachers of Detroit. And y'all know the great bishop, Corletta Vaughn. And one of the things she told me, she said, Tyear, allow me to go first. Not that she needed my permission, but she wanted to pave the way for someone that was unconventional, that was willing to break that glass ceiling of what people think is acceptable and what should be on television. Because a lot of people think Christians don't have anything to say. All you all do is speak in tongues and say hallelujah, and you all fall out in the street. No, I'm intelligent, and I know how to read, and I know how to have a conversation about other things outside of the canon and biblical things. And so I made sure that I positioned myself, and I would call her and I would ask her, hey, how is it going? What's going on? How is filming going? Can you give me some pointers? And then God opened up a door where my physician is on Married to Medicine. And instead of giving me only my time with her as a patient, she sat down and made time and coached me through this reality process so that I don't embarrass myself, my family, the kingdom, and definitely not embarrass you all. But so what I did was I took myself out of a limited place and I positioned myself around people who had already gone over that hump. You know, the Bible tells us this way: you follow them through faith and patience, them that have inherited the promise. That's one of the versions of it. And so it's very, very important. Hey there, Kiara. Hey, April. Hey, David. It's very, very important that we make it our business to position ourselves intentionally. Don't pray about it. Okay? Don't sit up and speak in tongues. No, you got to get out and you got to go to the city club and you got to meet the mayor and you sit down with the commissioners and you sit down with the people who are officials in your school, at your kid's school, and you get on the PTA and you make calls and you introduce yourself and you go to the meetup groups and you go out other places other than your church. And you do other things that exposes you to other great limitless thinkers. Just find somebody that you can see that is an example for you. And then you go on and you get around them. And if you can't, ask God to open up a door. I wanted to meet several people that were, I felt were a great influence on what I wanted to do and how I wanted to do it. And actually, I asked God. You know the law of 7 degrees of separation. There's only 7 people that separate you and probably some of the people you want to meet, including Beyonce and Jay-Z, or whether it is Barack Obama or somebody knows somebody you want to meet. And just make sure that you're ready. So this is that time. You position yourself to be ready. Start preparing yourself to be ready. Now let's go to the next one. Don't rehearse the failures of the past, but be mindful of the lessons that you learn because of your past. A lot of people like to rehearse what I did, what happened to me. Oh, woe is me. We all have a story, and many of us have horrible stories. Many of us don't have horrible stories, but whatever your story is that brought displeasure to you, find out what the lesson is. If it was nothing but endurance, I learned how to wait until my change comes. I learned not to stay in that toxic relationship. I learned just because I failed before doesn't mean I'm going to fail again. I learned how to get up and dust myself up and not dust myself off and not start all over again, but start where I left off. I learned how to speak what I wanted. I learned how to pay my debts on time and realize when I do, I'll get good credit. I learned how to do those things. I learned that maybe it's not always a good idea to get involved in a business practice with somebody who has no business ethic or any business experience. You've learned many lessons along the way. And I'm going to encourage you, especially those of you who are visionaries, get you a book. I have so many notebooks. I've got notebooks, and all of them, all the different colors, they mean something different. And I write down those things that are important to me, those lessons that I've learned. I learned, for me, I cannot allow myself to get so depressed that I put that weight back on. That means I got to manage my life. And if you are not going to rehearse your failures, you got to manage the conversations that you are going to rehearse. And so I need you to be mindful of those trigger traps. You know, you've got trigger traps, and some of those those trigger traps are some of the people that you've walked away, because many of you all have already started. You've walked away for some things that are toxic. You've already walked away or been pushed away. And I'm going to encourage you in that too. If you find that God has pushed you out of a situation, stop trying to go back. I know your heart is connected. I know you're excited. I know you just want to have them come along, but you got to shatter the ceiling, baby. You cannot stay in the box with limited thinkers. You cannot stay in the box. Burn the box. Conquer the ceiling. Get you something. If you got to get a stick, if you got to get a hammer, just break it. Break it. Can I tell you a quick story real quick? And you all probably heard it or watched it, but I don't know if you watched former President Clinton's address right before he introduced his wife. The night before, she got up and spoke. He said this very little part, and it stuck out to me out of all the things he said about his wife. He said, when I was the president, my wife told me that she wanted to do all these things when I got out of the presidency. Basically, that's what he said. And I encouraged her, do not get into politics. Don't do any of that stuff. And she said, I'm not listening to you, Bill. I'm going to do it anyway. And look, what would have happened had she not done it? She would have never been in the Senate. She would have never been in the position she has been in. The times when she walked door to door and trying to get correct assistance for education for children who had special needs. When she did all those things, if she believed no, and every time somebody told her you should not go, it's dangerous, because she went in the worst neighborhoods and she went in some of the best neighborhoods. She did it anyway. And I'm not saying that, again, I am not a Hillary Clinton person that you need to vote for her. This is not about her. I'm talking about, look at her example. And she had her husband who was the president of the United States, a boss president. I mean, did a good job. I voted for him, actually. And he encouraged her, don't do this. But had she not done it last week, she would have never broken that ceiling of being the very first woman to not run, but to represent a Democratic and or any type of party and have most of the votes. And I would dare to say, if we do this right, because I'm not going to tell you who to vote for, but I'm not voting for that dang on Trump. That's for sure. And I am going to vote, so y'all can kind of figure out who I'm voting for. I'm not doing it because I agree with everything, but what does she does? But I am going to say this. I agree with the fact that she took a chance. And that's not the only reason why I'm going to. But she sets a precedent. She sets an example for women everywhere. And I want to encourage all of you ladies that are watching. Stop telling yourself that you've got to do these certain things. You got to fit in this little box. You put yourself in this little teacup, and it's cute and it's safe. Stop worrying about being saved. God's got you. God's positioned people around you to catch you if you stumble, because you ain't gonna fall, because you're going to be prepared for this. And I want to encourage you, stop making those excuses of why you can't do it. Don't rehearse those failures anymore. Stop it. Just stop. Stop. Yeah, it happened. It's a part of your testimony now. It is not a part of your test. You've been past that test. Now let's get on to bigger and better and weightier matters. Now let's look at the other thing. Get rid of excuses. We're almost done. So I'm going to make sure I tell you this. And if you got some comments or something like that, by all means, comment below. And by all means, ask me the questions. I'm going to answer it. I don't care what kind of questions they are, as long as they're relevant to this particular topic. But I want you to, number 7, I want you to rid yourself of excuses. Now, if you're just coming on, I want to tell you the ones we've gone through. Number 1 was identify your own self-imposed ceilings. Number 2 was quiet the voices of I can't. Number 3 was see yourself as greater than your current position. Number 4 was intentionally position yourself with limitless thinkers. Not limited careless thinkers, but limitless thinkers that are full of wisdom. Number 4, that was number 4. Number 5 was speak your new identity without limits. Don't allow your desires and your dreams to become nightmares because you have not tended to them. And number 6 is don't rehearse the failures of your past, but be mindful of the trigger traps, the people and those things and those mindsets that you have had that caused failure to come into your life, and you keep rehearsing it. It's so important that you go to a library, you download books that is going to encourage you in the areas that you want to be groomed and grown in, because many times people don't have mentors like me. I mentor people. I mentor pastors, apostles, prophets, teachers. I mentor young women. I mentor married people. I mentor business people. I mentor a large gamut of people. And one of the things I tell them, educate yourself on where you want to go. Educate yourself on where you want to be. This time next year, what do you want your life to look like? And set a goal, get a steady pace, and get a plan of execution. You're not going to just put it on a piece of paper and say, oh God, oh God, oh God, I need you to do this for me. No, he's going to say, I've done everything that I need to do for you. I've given you everything that pertains to life and godliness. Now, the part about life, you got to make it happen. And I will partner with you as long as you listen to my instructions. You know, I think about it this way. If we would just yield to the instructions of God, we wouldn't have to worry about failure because it wouldn't be an option. Failure is not part of his options, so it wouldn't be a part of our options either. And we would be able to weather every test, temptation, and storm that comes up to come and distract us and to get us off of kill, because the enemy is he's still there. And sometimes the enemy is right in here. It's in between your own two ears. It's in your mind. It is in your thinking. It is in the things that you've been exposed to. So it's now time for you to expose yourself to something else that looks like where you want to go. And so again, rid yourself of excuses and don't be afraid to work hard. This generation we live in, Lord Jesus, they don't want to work hard. I'm not going to say all of them. Some of them do. But for the most part, we have been, I have to be honest, because I have a son. Let's see, 26, 25, a daughter that is 24, and a 19-year-old son. And I have to admit, I have been the main factor of this entitlement ideology that they have, because I wanted to make their life even easier than mine. But I realized that part of it, I was crippling my kids. I was crippling them into thinking that everything is going to come easy. You know, I used to have to watch. I was the dishwasher. You know, if you grew up in the 60s, you were the antenna. You know, before they got a remote control with the cord and then one without the control, without the cord, I was the one. Go over there and turn the channel. You know, go over there. And some of y'all remember the pliers ministry. Y'all don't act like y'all don't know the pliers ministry. Y'all remember that when the thing broke off, you know that when it had more of a click though, and you had the pliers and you had to turn it to the station that you wanted. You were the remote control. I remember my mother had a washing machine that had the things with the two rollers, and you put the clothes in the middle, and I stuck my hand in there many times, and I learned not to do that. But I had to go through those lessons to learn what to do. Had I not been in those positions, I would not have known. I would not have known to when to sell my companies. I would not have known when to take a chance on love. I would not have known. And so I had to rid myself of excuses really quickly. I had to go to do something different for my life when I wanted to be married. I remember I was so busy traveling up and down the highway during plays and singing tours, the kind of stuff that comes to your local playhouses and stuff like the Fox Theater, stuff like that. I used to do that. I used to sing behind some of the greatest singers that you now know. And I was so busy doing that I neglected doing something that was more important. Yeah. And that was raising my son. I had a great support system, but I was missing out on him walking for the first time. I was missing out on a lot of firsts, and I did not want to do that. So I had to put that part of my life on hold that way. But I found another way, and I started doing local things, or things that will only take me away for a couple of days. Well, this is what I'm telling myself. You know, I can't do it. But then I had to think to myself, well, singing, you enjoy music, you enjoy acting, you enjoy the arts. You don't have to give it away. You just got to alter it the way you can and the way you need to, but don't abandon the dream. Don't start saying what you cannot do simply because it's more convenient to say, no, I don't want to work hard. I don't want to jump over these hurdles. I don't want to wait my turn. I don't want to, and you know, all of that stuff. You know, y'all know how we do it. I don't want to wait my turn. I don't want to, wait for marriage. I'm just going to settle, There we are. Thank you all for staying on with us. Okay, so let me tell you this. And so you cannot sit up and tell yourself that, now just in case I go back out and I have to start over, I'm going to finish this, okay? You can't tell yourself that there's only one way, as my mama said, to skin a cat. You got to be willing to look at other ways to skin that cat and get your goals accomplished. And breaking those excuse barriers, breaking those toxic relationship barriers. I don't want to leave him. We got kids. You know you don't need to be with him. He done moved on and you still married to an idea. You know that you don't need to stay at that job because there's no room for growth, but you want to stay there because you know what? Something is better than than nothing, but you've had opportunities, or you can pursue other opportunities. Those are excuses. Stop making excuses. Shatter those glass ceilings. And can I tell you, a lot of people say that there are glass ceilings, the man. You the man? It's not about somebody white. It's not about somebody sitting in an ivory tower. This is not about your boss. This is not about the person who took your position. This is not about any of that. This is about you doing what is necessary and not taking no for an answer. Anybody that tells me no when I know it's something that I'm supposed to be doing, let me tell you what I do. I go to somebody else. Even when I got to call and get some favor on the phone, if the person tells me no, put your supervisor on the phone. It's called escalate. Y'all got to use that term. I want to escalate this problem. Because there is somebody that has your yes. There is somebody that has the key that unlock that opportunity. There's somebody that will make a way out of no way for you. So trust and believe. If you are ready and you are serious, I mean really serious about it, trust and believe. It will open for you. Some doors, baby, they don't open. Some doors you got to kick open. Some doors you got to break off the hinges. Others you got to get an axe and tear it down. And some you might have to be a little bit of a pyromaniac and you might have to go and burn that mug clean on, slap down, where ain't nothing left but ashes, and all you got to do is walk on top of them. And here's another one. The last thing I want to tell you is this. This is number 8. Take a match and burn the box. I said it earlier, but I'm going to end with that. Burn the box. I want you to take a hammer and break the ceiling. I want you to do what's necessary. Do not have a flea-like mentality. I want you to have the mentality that says, not only can I, not only will I, but I already did. I had to take a tea break on that one. I already did. And I'm not just speaking faith. I'm speaking the dominant conversation of a victorious person. See, dominant people, one thing I can say about that dang on Donald Trump, although I am not a fan, he just as nutty as a fruitcake, but he believes his own hype. And you have been put in a position where you have to listen to his hype. Well, people have turned their mindsets and started to follow him. Well, just think what things that God has placed on the side of your heart. He has given you something, and people will follow. People will listen. People will support. It may not be your family. It may not be the people that you expect, but people will come around. You know, the Bible says it this way. It says, write the vision and make it plain so that them that see it, they can run with it. And understand this, although it may take a little while, it will surely come to pass. Well, listen, I wanted to just leave you with that. I wanted to make sure that you understood what it is that I want you to do. I want you to be a part of this very, very amazing thing that's happening in our country. Glass ceilings are being broken all the time. And I'm looking forward to you breaking one of those glass ceilings. The glass ceiling that says, I can't, I won't, I shouldn't, it's impossible. And you saying, I can, I did, I'm here. Now let me show you how it's done. And so with that in mind, I want to thank you for joining me with Tuesdays with Tyear. And I hope you take the time to not only share this with somebody you think can be beneficial to you, but I want you to make sure you join us next Tuesday. We're going to have our landing page up for TuesdaysWithTyear.com. I am Tyear.com. That's Tyear. So if you ever don't know how to spell my name, it's year with a T in front. Tyear. Tyear, Tyear. So I am Tyear.com. That will be the website. But this is going to be a part of something that I'm committed that I'm going to do every single Tuesday at 9 o'clock. So you may be in Paris with me. You may be in New York with me. You may be God only knows where with me. But wherever I am, that's where you're going to be. And I'm going to have some good stuff. Again, some relevant conversations about topics that's real. And so this is what I want to make sure I told you. Thank you, Pastor Sam. Thank you for saying that. He says, I won't abandon the dream. Break those barriers with I can. Will start living my dreams. I'm so glad you were inspired by that. And I'm going to make sure you do it because, I'm on your team. I am on your team. Well, I want to make sure that you do me a favor. Not only share this, but make sure that you push the notifications when it says I have a follow button. Even if we're not friends and I can't take any more people, go on and push the follow button and push the notifications so that you'll know every time I come on live and we can share this journey of success, of empowerment, of love, relationships, and everything else you want to talk about. And finally, I want to tell you this. I've got some product that's going to come out. I think I'm going to give some things away. I think I'm going to give away to those of you who are watching and those of you who just support by your presence and listening and hanging out with me. I think I'm going to send you a free book. So when we get that edited, it's going to be finished probably the next couple of months. And it talks about some of the things I talked about tonight. But it's going to be really, really good. It's going to help your life. It's going to bless your life. And it's going to help your life. But again, do the notifications. Join me next time. this Tuesday, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time with Tuesdays with Tyear. And if you got any questions, any suggestions, any topics that you want me to cover, make sure that you just hit me up in my inbox. I'll make sure that I'm going to respond to you. God bless you. Live big. Do it big. And shatter every glass ceiling that you see. I'll talk to you later. Blessings.